Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jane Johnson, co-CEO of AphA, and today we have Filipe McManus, who's the CEO of Facts and Dimensions, who's going to be doing the session for us on his service of, data tables. He'll tell you all this, obviously, in his presentation, but there's an offer for AphA to have access to these tables for free for 30 days. And on top of that, Philippe also offers SQL training, which you'll bring into the presentation. It is being recorded, as you can see, and the recording will be shared on the AphA website if you want to go back over and listen to anything afterwards. Or if any of your AphA member colleagues maybe haven't been able to be here today, they can also go onto that recording after the event and have a listen. Just to ask that everybody stays on mute during the presentation, and then Philippe will do the Q&A afterwards. As you know, these lunch and learn sessions are a regular thing, so just to let you know that our next one will be on the 5th of August. That will be held by a couple of ladies from the strategy unit on the left shift. So it's about responding to change in the NHS. And if you've looked at the 10-year plan, and you've probably seen the latest CEO update newsletter all about the 10-year plan, and left shift is the hospital to community, and the strategy unit support a lot of national delivery of analytics and policy support in these areas. So their session will be on that from an analytical angle if you want to see, and it's a very interactive session because I think they're keen to understand what sort of questions you are being asked within your own organisations. So I'll ask Lizzie to post the link on the chat at some point, but it's in the, it'll be going out, there'll be another comms going out, and it's on the website. Philippe will also be repeating this session in October. That hasn't been set up yet, and we haven't advertised that yet, but because it's way away, but he will be doing this session again. This is the second time, and we're having him back for a third time. So I am going to pass you over now to Philippe and mute myself and turn my camera off so it's not distracting. And Philippe, welcome.
Great, thanks, Jane. I really appreciate giving me the opportunity to do this. Hi, everyone. So yeah, my name is Filipe McManus, and I run a company called Facts and Dimensions Limited. I just wanted to use this opportunity to, first of all, say what we do for the NHS and give you a quick demo, and also to talk about the free SQL training that I deliver every Wednesday. I'm actually just sent today's students off to lunch while I do this talk. So the Facts and Dimensions service is a single database of all the open data that is used in the NHS: ODS codes, SNOMED, DM&D, SITREPs, demography, thousands and thousands of tables of all kinds of statistics, public data. We load it all from various Excel files and CSV files and whatnot, and APIs, and put it all into that database. The data is used by NHS England, Department of Health, all the information commissioning boards, several hospitals, and lots of private companies that use our data to deliver added on services like reporting and all sorts. Basically, the way the system works is all this data is loaded into a database, and the customer just loads that data into their own reporting servers. So the way that new data sets are added, customers will just ask us to add a new data set on our forum, which I'll show you in a minute. They put a link like this one here saying, can you load the data from this website? And then one of our team will load all the historical data from that website into the database, and then continue loading it as new data comes out, making sure it's all accurately recorded in the database. The reason, so the data comes from like files like this, that I'm sure you guys recognize, and ends up in a table so you can query it. And then when we've done it, we just let the customer know on our forum, and that's how it's going forever. So we've got thousands of tables, and every table in there is in there because someone's asked for it. The reason why it's better to use our company to load the data for everyone rather than doing it yourselves. So I used to work in the NHS for about 12 years. And when I went from one organization to another as a data analyst, one of the things I'd find myself having to do is creating a database to load all the ODS codes and population figures and waiting list data and other statistics that the organization I was working for needed for benchmarking and for doing data dictionary, for loading all the data dictionary codes, for doing all their sus work and etc. And generally speaking, if I'd normally be employed by that organization to do general analyst work, and I'd never really be allowed to keep that reference database up to date because there'd always be something more important to do. And as a result, the reference database would always be behind, even though the whole department depended on that database to do all their work. And generally speaking, when I'd move from one place to another, I'd find out from speaking to old colleagues at the previous place I worked at that this database with all the ODS codes and everything was out of date because no one was keeping up to date because it was always something to be done tomorrow and always the next day. So I realized that if I just did it once and did it really well and gave everyone a login, then there wouldn't be any need for anyone else to do it. And that's what I did in 2012, 13 years ago. And now it is used right across the NHS. I can see on, because somebody like Derby and Derbyshire ICB is on here, so you guys have already got access. There's several organisations on here. You'll already have access to this data, but some of you guys like Barts, Medway, you might not have heard of this. So if I just do a quick demo now. So how do I come out of this? Right. One way to do a demo. When I did this, this is the second time I'm giving this talk. When I did it the first time, I went into Microsoft SQL and did loads of SQL statements, and it got a bit dry. But I think this time a bit better would be if I just show you the outputs. So as a user of the database, you would connect to our database using Power BI or Tableau or Python or R or Excel or Access or anything you like, and all the tables of data are in there, right? And then you just pick out the tables that you're interested in. So an interesting one actually is I started loading all the spend data not long ago. So let's have a look at that. So NHS ICB spend. So if we look, well, we've got Derby and Derbyshire on here, so let's look at that one. I'll just tick that and then load. So this table I'm now loading has been populated from something like, well, 12 CSV files every year for the past few years. And every single table in the database is made up of many files. So we've loaded literally millions of files over the years, and we'll continue to do so that we have this one database of absolutely everything. So all you guys have to do is just connect to the database and then build some sort of queries from it. So we could just drop dates and values in like a Power BI. I'm just making one up on the top of my head here. If we did the total spend by date for that particular for Derby, that's how you can see how much is spent. So in July 2022, apparently 168 million pounds. And you might be interested in seeing say the spend by supplier. So you could probably put that there. So I'm not really demoing Power BI, obviously. That's, you can use whatever you want, but you get the idea. So if I just expand that, so here we've got Derbyshire ICB and the amount of money they spent with every company every month since they started, right? So this company, Acurex Limited. This is all public data. It's all open public data. It's all downloadable from the internet. So with this company here, they spent £84,000 in August, for example. It's all there. And we've got another table which would take a few minutes to run, so I won't do it now, but it has all the ICBs and all the spend, and that's just one table, right? So but in the database, there isn't just that, there's everything you can think of. And to get new data added to the database, customers go onto our forum. So here's our forum here, and they just start sending a new data request. So just today, for example, someone asked for this data here from Zenodo. Harmonized data of research grants. I didn't even know this existed till now. So they've sent a link and they've asked us to load all the data. So it's this CSV, I imagine. One of our team will download that data, add it into the database, and then that data will then be updated every day. So that is fundamentally the service. Is there any questions on that? Okay, but you can always, if you come up with any questions later, you can always ask us. The other thing I wanted to demo, Tematope, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Have you got a question? You've put your hand up anyway. I can't hear you. You're not muted, but I don't know if your microphone's not working. If you'd like to, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't actually hear you saying.
Yeah, sorry. Muted.
Oh, you are muted. All right. It doesn't have the mute symbol on there though.
Oh.
Okay, well,
no,
there might be a technical issue there. If you want to type your question into the meeting chat, then I can answer it that way. And also I can do the questions at the end as well as now too. Right, the other thing I wanted to show you guys is every week for the last sort of year and a half, I've been delivering basic SQL training to people in NHS. So I'll just put this link in the chat. This is hosted on the Future NHS website. If you want to join my free training, I'm actually delivering free training today, as I said, and the students have gone to lunch. This is where I teach different ways of joining tables in SQL. And for those people who pass that course, I then teach these things, which is things like sum, min, max, average, date diff, just a few of the other basics in SQL. And I believe with those 2 days of training, most analysts would have the majority of what they need for just straightforward basic SQL querying. And then the idea being that SQL analysts don't have to rely on the expert in the room for every little thing. So if you want to join that training, it's free. All you have to do is go to that web link that I put in the chat, and then you'd have to join. If you're not already on NHS Futures, I absolutely recommend it. And then just join NHS Futures and make a comment, just choosing a date that you want to join. So I'm booked up until till December now. So if you just ask to join, then you'll get trained on that day. If any of your organizations have multiple people that want training, I'm more than happy to come along and deliver the training in person. It gives me a chance to do a demo of my service as well. So it's sort of training all day, and then in the lunch break, I do a little half-hour advertising my service. So it's worth the journey, if you know what I mean. That's it really. I know I've got an hour, but I don't actually have an hour's worth of demoing to do. So has anyone got a question for me?
Philippe, if if people wanted to see what tables are there, because obviously you've kind of scrolled down through thousands of tables and difficult to take in what's available. So
yeah, you're right.
Okay, so if you can put the link, just show us. So you've got 7,500 tables. These being
that this link, this lists all the tables that we have, and you can go into any one. So say just think of the things that everyone would know. or broadband. I know it's not related to health, but broadband. So that's the 3 tables we've got. And if you're wondering where the data comes from, you can just expand that and follow this link, and that'll tell you where the data is coming from. So all that data is available in the database for use. So if we were to just do a new one. So all the tables are in this database ready to be used. So that broadband one I just mentioned, that's there. So if you're interested in broadband usage by sub-constituency, for example, there's the data by area. And that is fundamentally all we do. We just get all the data from all the thousands and thousands of sources, put it into this one database so that you guys can load them into Power BI and Tableau and do whatever you want with it, really.
Can you just click on a couple that are health related? I can see a cancer one there. I can see there was an A&E one, just to get an idea as well.
Yeah,
of
sure.
What's
so all sorts of A&E data. Let's look at ECDS provider level data, just for a start. So that's by hospital, different measures, as you can see in these columns, measure values and the dates that they relate to. And in this case, it's annual data. I mean, really, the only way to get a really good idea is through playing with it. I can just give you a link to the free trial so you can have a play. If I just go to that link now. Got the link here, actually. So this link here, you go to that link, that'll take you to Snowflake, where you can get a free trial to use Snowflake, which is an online database system. And then you can use that system to get access to our data. Alternatively, you can get access using Microsoft SQL. But for that, you'd need to get in contact with us and we'd set you up manually. Right, so Temito put a question. Do you download the data manually each day, or is the data set connected directly via an API from the host website? Right, so you would connect to the database using an ODBC connection. You can download it every day if you like, but you don't need to. You can just connect directly. So like in this Power BI, I'm connecting directly to the database. So you don't need to download anything. You just connect, make your reports. Like this report that I've made here with the Derby data, you just refresh it. If we've loaded new data, it would appear in your report. So yeah, any other questions? I'll put my the way to get in touch with us as well. That would be useful. There's another link there. You can just contact us on that. That comes directly to me anyway. And I can give you more information indirectly there too. So, yeah.
So Francesca's got her hand up there.
Yep, Francesca, do you want to? Yep, go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi.
Sorry. Hi. Thank you so much. This is really, really helpful. This looks absolutely fantastic, and I can see this would solve many of my problems because I have had similar things where
the raw data is a nightmare, isn't it?
Yes,
the source data is a nightmare.
Yeah. So this looks fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm from Warrington Borough Council, from the local authority public health team, and can I just ask around pricing and licenses? How does that all work with this? That's probably thanks.
Yeah, that's fine. So there's G Cloud. If I just go to that as well, that's the other link I should have given actually. So this link here, that's how you buy the service.
Brilliant. Okay.
Now, are you in Greater Manchester area?
I am just outside of it. We're Warrington, so we're Cheshire, but just next to Manchester.
Okay, yeah. Right, so Cheshire don't have a license from my memory, but some parts of the UK are. Well, if I just show you the pricing, right? So the pricing for an individual organisation, 25,000 a year, right? For a commissioner, like an ICB, which you're not, but for a commissioner, it's per million population, just to accommodate the fact that the government keeps reshaping the NHS every 5 years. But if the ICB, Integrated Care Board, wants to get a license for the whole area, then it's 34,000 per million population. That's the most popular deal. So several ICBs have that license, and they build like web tools and stuff, and then give everyone else in the region, the councils and the universities as well, access to it through that. And then if you want your own access, if everyone in the area wants their own access, then it's this here. So, but you know, first of all, just get a free trial off us and have a play first.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's super helpful.
That's all right. No worries. Yeah. Any other questions? Right. Well, I'm going to tell you about something else that we're planning on doing. So if I just go back to here. Okay. So you can see that we've got massive amounts of data, all these tables of data, right? And that's all we've got. No front end, nothing else. You make your own front ends using the data, right? And one of the issues is that there is so much data, it's actually hard to find what you're looking for, right? Unless you know what you're doing. So we have actually added a new table in here just recently, which we haven't officially released, but it is fully working, which is this search table where you can actually discover everything across the entire database. So this table, which I'm now querying, I'll just do the top 10 so it doesn't take too long to run. This one for every single value in every single column of every single table across the entire database, it tells you how many times that value appears and when it first appeared, when it last appeared. And then you can use this. So if you wanted to know, like, is there any data with the word stroke in it, but you didn't know what tables to look in, then you could look at it like this. Right? And I've just done the top 10. There is actually more tables, but I can see from that there's a table called prevalence by practice in the QOF schema that has some columns where the value is stroke and transient ischemic attack. Now, there's no way you would know that this table, prevalence by practice, in the schema called QOF, had anything to do with stroke in it, because it doesn't have the stroke in the table name or the schema name. And that's why this table is useful, because then you can find that that's a useful table to go to get stuff to do with stroke. Now, the next thing that we're planning on doing with several of our customers is we're going to start working on allowing AI companies, well, they're already doing it anyway, AI companies among our customers, both in the public and private sector, are building AI models to extract data from the massive, vast quantity of data that we have in this database to try and ask questions in plain English. And my worry about that is if the NHS is going to start querying our data and then pulling out accepting the results no matter what they look like, that's not very good. So what we're going to do in a hackathon is sort of develop a way of testing the people's ability to understand the results given by the GPT model, because the GPT models will have to return the SQL code that it had to write to get its answers. And then we need data analysts to have the skills to interpret the AI's answers and to be able to validate the AI's answers. So that's something that we're just starting work on now, a kind of an accreditation system for the AI models themselves, so that we can prove that those AI models actually are able to correctly interpret the data in our database, and SQL analysts as well that can correctly interpret the interpretation of the AI models, if you see what I mean. But it's early days for that. It's going to be about a year away until we get to that point. Yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, great. I have to end the call, end the meeting, and then we join again.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you for answering my question earlier. But it's just like the question I was asking is this. You mentioned earlier that you update the database every day by downloading the data.
Mhm.
So I was asking that, do you connect to database of those sources, or do you manually go to the website to download the data? So that was my
I see what you
question. Yeah.
mean. You're wondering how
Yeah.
we update the database. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's we've got a team of data engineers. We've built an in-house system that we've developed over 10 years that has a massive amount of test scripting. And our engineers use our system to get the data from the websites and load it into the database. And in going through that process, it has to go through massive amounts of tests and quality assurance to get into the database. But yeah, we basically literally load every file from the internet into the database, but using a complex, powerful system.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. My long-term aim is to start. Actually, a couple of my customers are international, and we're piloting loading European data, because my ultimate aim is I want all the world data in here. Because wouldn't it be brilliant if you could just easily write a query that checks, say, the mortality rates in the NHS versus the mortality rates in the French health system, along with the deprivation figures in both, and along with the spend numbers in both, and along with staffing levels, because we've got staffing levels in here and vacancies and all sorts. Because I think to answer any sort of complicated question, you'd have to spend like months and months and months loading the data from all the different sources and getting it all cleaned and put into a database, so that then you can just spend the few days you wanted to spend on analyzing that data. So I want to get all the data loaded so that first horrible bit's already done.
So you've got international data in there as well for benchmarking against how other countries.
Yeah, only just started, because the order that we do things in is based on people asking for data. So we only started doing this pilot, but we've done one with Malaysia, if I could just find it, where they got us to load some data sets. This was a UK-based international company, right? Where is it? MY somewhere. Here it is. So they asked us to load the Malaysian household income data for some reason. So we did that, and that's the figures. But my ultimate aim is I want to just get all the world's data in this one database. I've only got 10 staff. I'm going to need like 100 or hundreds of staff. I'll probably never get there, but at least that's my route. We actually just started talking to other departments, HM Treasury, DEFRA, Ofgem, just other departments of government that I'm sort of getting to know through these, because there's lots of events that go on that are cross government. So I started attending them so I can get to know people in other departments of government, because I'm already loading lots of data sets for the NHS, which aren't really relevant, I'd have thought, for the NHS. Like, for example, fuel poverty, right? NHS England asked us to load that data. So we've loaded it because they've asked us to. And that was like a few weeks. Getting these data sets set up and loaded can sometimes be days, or if they're really complicated, can be weeks and weeks of work. And it just seems such a waste that we load all this data and then only the NHS is using it, when I'd imagine other departments of government would use it, and they've probably got someone in-house loading it. And I'm thinking, oh, I've already done it, so it's a bit silly that you're doing it as well.
Well, all these things are very helpful when people are doing population health and they're looking at wider determinant data, like high asthma rates in kids. The fuel poverty might lead to, well, is there damp in the housing, etc. Are they under fuel poverty? So it gives those integrated systems ideas of where they need to start directing their resources to address the health conditions.
Yeah, because everything's interrelated, isn't it? In fact, actually, I had a really good one. There's some study done several years ago where it correlated football scores over the weekend, and how lenient or otherwise judges were in their sentences on the Monday. Yeah, if the local team lost, then anyone in front of a judge on the Monday is going to get a much harsher sentence, apparently. And I'd imagine the same would go for mistakes made in surgery, right? There's probably a relationship. If you've had a horrible weekend, you're probably not going to perform that well on the Monday.
And there is actually a correlation there to domestic violence as well.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, we've got domestic violence in there as it happens, because you know, the Women in Data organization, which is really brilliant. They did a hackathon and they needed a load of data relating to domestic violence and stuff like that, and they got us to do it all. So and we did it. We only did it for the hackathon, but now because we started it, then we keep it maintained forever again. Yeah, tons of data. I just need you guys to do something useful with it, really. We'll keep loading it if you keep using it.
Yeah, it's all, you know, it's one of those things, especially with the prevention, you know, as I say, population health, and you have to look at all the external factors, because 80% of somebody's health and well-being is driven by non-healthcare related stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Education, poverty, domestic, you know, housing. All these are through joint strategic needs assessments. Things like domestic violence are always being looked at, which impacts on the children's health, pediatric health as well. You know, like you say, it all ties back.
Yeah, so many different data sets there. Like another one I heard someone talk about. So it's not a nice one, but nonetheless, well, none of the ones we just talked about, they're horrible, actually. Another not nice one, but needs investigating, is homicide rates in the US versus homicide, gun-related crime, that is, in the US versus gun-related crime in Canada, right? They both have similar gun ownership. I don't know if you knew this, but Canadians have a pretty high gun ownership as well as Americans, right? But their gun-related crime is far, far, far lower in Canada than in America. Now, if you wanted to actually investigate why that is, obviously you'd need to know the homicide rates, but the gun-related crime statistics, but you'd also want to know the employment rates, and you'd want to know education levels, and you'd want to know poverty levels, and you'd want to know deprivation alongside that, and education levels, I think, if I haven't already said that already, and various other things, right? And maybe health insurance levels. I mean, in Canada, it's basically 100%. In America, I don't know what it is. You need to do a lot of work to gather all that data together from the massive amount of sources. I mean, in the US, you know, they've got lots of data sets by state. So you'd have to do that. You'd have to do it like 50 times. So months and months and months of work to then do your thesis, trying to compare the two. And then what? Now you've got 6 months worth of data you've done. You're not going to keep maintaining it because you've done your job now. So all that work in the bin, or just going to gather dust. Whereas when I'm doing it, I'll keep maintaining it forever, because all the data sets used for that piece of work, each one of them will be used for other pieces of work that other organizations are doing for different things. That's why I've built this business, really, to solve that problem. And I haven't run out of work yet. In fact, the number of requests coming in, I thought when I started this business, I thought the number of requests coming in, right, I thought they'd go down. I thought, well, after a few years, I'd have got the data I needed. I'd have got all the NHS data done, and then I'll just keep maintaining it and have a lovely time. But the number of requests is accelerating. It's unbelievable the amount of data is out there. It's absolutely insane.
And it will, as they look to shift care around.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will keep growing.
Oh, it's mad. I mean, it's great. But it's just so much of it, and this is how AI is going to help us, I reckon. Once we've got, we're now doing it. We're now making our data AI ready. Where we're I mean, we've been doing this anyway for ages. Where we're categorizing all the columns, and we're doing a bunch of what's called a semantic layer, which then AI models can then use to understand the data, because it's going to take powerful AI engines to be able to do analysis that spans loads of different data sets without it taking months, you know. But then we need extremely well versed, capable SQL developers and analysts like us on here to be able to interpret the results delivered by the AI models to make sure we can verify that what the AI models are telling us using the data is actually true. So I see a bright future for us analysts. I really do. I think not only is AI not going to disrupt the amount of work we have, it's going to massively increase it and increase the level, as in the how interesting and higher level that work is going to be for us guys. Just think of the stuff we could do with all the data we've got now.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. So if anyone wants to have a play with the data, I've put that link in the chat to Snowflake. It's on my website anyway, and just go ahead and have a play, and then get in touch if you want to use it long term. Then give me a shout.
Lovely, thank you, Philippe. Any other questions from anyone? If you think of them afterwards, you know, Philippe's given us contact details there, so you can go to him. But if you think you want to join the SQL training to look about the table stuff, then on NHS Futures, and was it Franceschi said you're not NHS? You don't have to be NHS to go onto NHS Futures. You can still join. So and get that access to booking up for the SQL training.
Yeah, if you just follow the link on my website, factsanddimensions.co.uk/training, go to this link here. That will take you to future.nhs.uk. So it's logged me straight in, but when you try, it will take you to the page to set up an account, and it's free.
Yeah.
You just have to wait for someone to approve it, because they don't just, you can't just immediately get access. You have to be approved, and I'm sure you would be.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there unless anyone's got another question, but just email me if you have one later. Lovely. All right. Well, thanks, Jane, and thanks everyone else.
You.
Cheers.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.